Hello everyone and welcome back to Humble Acres. So we are going to work on the FJ some more. The first thing I want to do is I want to try to straighten this frame rail back. It must have got pulled somehow when they hooked to this hook and it's just all bent up. So I'm going to try to bend this back. Alright, I think that's looking really good now. May not be perfect. It's got maybe a little bit of a wave in it still, but it's a whole lot better than it was, and most people won't even notice that. I want to try to straighten this bumper out now though, because that also kind of drives me crazy, not having that correct. So yeah, I don't really know the best way to do it. I think the best way to do it would just be to clamp right here and just pull those together, and it would push this out then, because that's really what's bent. But it's not gonna be perfect, but it'll be fine for now. I don't think I have a clamp strong enough to be able to pull those together though, so I think I'm probably just gonna get a hammer and start hammering right there and then on the bottom as well, and hopefully it'll straighten out some. So I decided I'm going to try to just put this in my press over here. I have a feeling it might be easier to just squeeze those together and hopefully it'll straighten out a little easier. Hammering on it wasn't doing much. I guess I could heat it up, but I feel like this is just going to be a lot easier, so let's try that. The bumper's looking a lot better. It's not near as bent up now. Still a little bent up, but it gives it a nice rustic look. So yeah, definitely way better. I really like that. So now the other thing I found is this frame rail is actually twisted out like this too far. So if you look at that one and then compare it to this one's pretty much straight up and down, and this whole frame rail right on the end here is twisted like that. So I need to figure out a way to twist this back. I tried some things, but it's very thick steel here, so, and there's not a very good way to actually grip onto it. So I need to look at some different things, but I need to try to bend this back. It probably wouldn't hurt anything to leave it, but I'd rather try to bend it back than to leave it like that. Alright, so this is what I've come up with for my first try. If you turn a high lift jack upside down on the beam here, it will actually squeeze together. And I switched this little thing on the bottom too to squeeze. So I'm going to try and just squeeze from the other frame rail. It's way more braced by this steering thing, and it's actually boxed in on this side, so I'm hoping this one won't move and this one will. So let's see if we can get something done here. I don't think the jack's gonna work. It's not really meant for that much force. So I have this on here and I can bend it a little bit, but I tried putting a bar on here, but it would just bend this little bracket down. It wouldn't actually twist the whole thing. So I was unable to find a way to attach something to that frame rail to twist it. So what I ended up doing was, this is the bar I used to straighten the bumper on the press. So I welded that onto the frame rail on the top here. So you'll never see this area again. So I'll just be able to cut this off and grind that smooth. You'll never see it. And then it's just rubbing up against the frame rail on the bottom here. And then I also had to add this support in here because it wanted to bend right there. But then I just pushed down over there and it pretty much straightened it now. It's pretty much completely flat now. So yeah, problem solved. Now I just got to cut this off and we should be good to go. All right, we got that all cleaned up. Looks like brand new now. Can't even tell what I did. So that's just a lot better. And the other nice thing is the holes for the bumper actually line up now. When I took it off, it was actually kind of a pain because these holes were kind of not wanting to line up, but now they line up. So very good. So I think I'm gonna actually get this all put back together here, how it was, and we'll go do something else. All right, it's about time we get this fuel tank in here. So I want to try to clean up this rusty area just a little bit. I'm just gonna rough it up with a wire wheel, and then I bought just this rust fix converter type stuff that I'm gonna spray on here, kind of just stop it from rusting, but it really isn't gonna matter because we are gonna replace this eventually, but I just want to put something on there for now. And bam, look at that. It looks like brand new. Just except for the holes, you know. But, you know, brand new. Looks like brand new. So now, I also got the screws out of these threaded holes here. So we should be able to just get some new screws and thread this, put the straps back on there. So I think now we're ready to get the gas tank in. I also need to replace this fuel line right here. Because the new gas tank doesn't have a thread on the end of it like this one does. This is the fuel line here, 5/16 rubber fuel line. I also already replaced the rubber line down here. I replaced the filter here. I wanted to get a clear one so I could see if there was crud in there, but that was also before I got a new fuel tank because I figured there might be stuff in the tank, so that's why I wanted a clear one. Probably isn't necessary now because there really shouldn't be any bad stuff in the fuel system at all. All right, let's see, we got our new fuel line on there. Runs up through there, through the hole, and I also put a new grommet on there. I just happen to have the right sized one, so that worked out well. So now let's get back up top and put the tank in. This isn't really painted either, but I'm not gonna paint it right now. It's got primer on it, it looks like, so it should be fine. We need to have cushions underneath the tank so it doesn't wear through, apparently, you know. So these are the cushions that were under there, so I'm just going to reuse those even though they're terrible. It will be fine. It's not the best, but it'll work. So that's where they were before, so that's where they'll be now. Alright, so I looked up where all these hose lines go. These all go to the evaporator. This goes to the vent, and then the two that I was worried about, so these two here, this one on the bottom and then there's one on the side there. Originally this had one on the side that was the feed for the carburetor, but after looking at their diagrams, this one on the bottom is the feed, but my old tank does not have this one on the bottom. So I think this tank is actually more universal for like newer ones that had a return line that went to the gas tank. Mine doesn't have a return line, so this one we're basically just gonna have to plug. This will be the feed, and then this is a return line, and then the rest of them I know where they go. So we should be good. Get this hooked up and we'll be good to go. Alright, so as many of you know, I have been having issues with valve cover gaskets. This is the one that I bought. It's actually the same, or it's a different one that I bought for the last FJ, the seized engine one, but this one doesn't fit either. And it's been driving me insane. And this is like a rubberized cork, or a rubber cork, or whatever you want to call it. And it's the same material as the other one that I had. And don't pay any attention to that one. So when you try to put it on here, it is way too short, and you can see it actually needs to go that way even more because this side's not quite on there. So you can see that it's about a 1/2 inch short, and you wouldn't think that's that big of a deal, just stretch it on there. But you can't. It's so elastic that it just comes right back. The only way I could get it to stretch even a little bit was to heat it up with my heat gun here and to get it to work and to get all these little notches to line up where they're supposed to. It was a nightmare. And I guess you're supposed to like glue it onto the valve cover here, but it's impossible. Some people told me to try to soak it in oil. That didn't do anything. I also tried doing that. Didn't do a single thing. So what I did was I just went to Toyota and I bought the actual Toyota one made in Japan. So that's what this one is here. And it is a complete cork gasket, I'm fairly certain of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is just all cork. And if I put this one on here, other than the sides wanting to bow in a little bit, which is not near as bad, this one fits perfect. I didn't have to stretch it. All of the notches line up exactly where they're supposed to. It's the correct length, it's the correct width. It's amazing. Buy a Toyota valve cover gasket if you gotta buy a new one, because all the other ones are junk. I could not find one that actually worked. So go to Toyota and buy that. Alright, so we have the fuel neck here, and this is the hose that is supposed to go over here, but it will actually not go on this tube far enough. I'm not quite sure how it was on there before, but I can't get it on this far enough because this hose is just so stiff. It's like a rock. It has no flex to it at all anymore. But to buy this on Spectre Off-Road, this little piece, the rubber with 2 clamps, was $75. And that just didn't seem logical for me. So I got on the internet and was searching around. I found a company out of Iowa that actually makes these fuel neck hoses like this. And I found one on there for, I think it was $21. And then they had some shipping, so it was going to end up to be like $35. And it was the exact same thing as the Spectre Off-Road piece. They may actually buy it from there and then just mark up the price. I don't know. But then I'm like, still a little pricey. So I looked around more, and at O'Reilly's, they have a lot of fuel neck hoses for lots of vehicles, and I was just looking at their pictures, and I found this one. It is for, I believe, late 90s, early 2000s Chevy truck. And let's get it out of the package here so I can show you. So yeah, this is the part now out of the package. And if you look at it, that piece right there looks awfully familiar. It's almost as if it's the same exact thing and it's the same exact diameter. So strange. So I was able to pick this up for $18. That's including tax and everything. They had it in stock. It's kind of funny. It's, yeah, you just gotta section it out to be the right thing, but it's exactly what I needed. So that's the part number for you. If you're, well, actually, I don't know if that is the part number. Yep, that top number is the part number for it. If you're interested in this. So basically what we gotta do is copy this over to here, cut it right there, and for $18 we have the exact piece that we needed in stock. And it also came with 2 hose clamps. So who would have guessed? Yeah, people, I hate when people try to rip you off. It's just rubber. That's it. How can that cost $75? Anyway, end of rant. So I'm going to get this cut, and then we're going to get this shoved in there. Well, for the most part, this is all done. I don't have screws to put the strap down because they need to be fairly long. You can see there's a pretty big gap there. So I need to get some longer screws for that. I actually might have some, I just haven't looked yet, but everything is connected. I put a new vent hose on here. All of these hoses are the ones that were already there, but they're not cracked, they're fine. I did replace this hose that goes up to the charcoal canister because it wasn't long enough to actually reach to that hose down there, the metal line that actually, you can see it right here. It comes right there, goes there, and then goes all the way to the front, and then it goes, it's one of these, it's this one right here, comes up to there. So got that hooked up. Over here for the fuel return, I found a rubber plug, and then I just put a little clamp on that, so hopefully that won't leak. And then we have our fuel line right here, which this is a really tight turn that I don't like. I'm really hoping it's not going to restrict fuel too much. We'll have to see about that, but that is good. And then we got our fuel sender hooked back up. I didn't buy a new one, so we'll see if it works. But other than that, fuel tank is in, and honestly, we're good that we could probably start this and let it see if it will run off of its own fuel system. I still don't have coolant in it. I bought new coolant hoses there, so I need to just replace the coolant hoses, but I haven't gotten to that yet. I did get the valve cover gasket all put on, and I didn't even mention this, but I painted this. I cleaned it all up and just sprayed a coat of paint on it real quick because it looked disgusting. But yeah, valve cover gasket, new one is on there. So yeah, we're pretty much ready to go. I also replaced all the vacuum lines because those were kind of crusty as well. So yeah, we are looking really good now. I really want to try to run it, but the garage is all closed up and it's extremely cold outside, so probably not the best day to do it. We'll do it in this video though, some point. But there's more to get to, so let's move on to the next thing. Thought it might be fun to kind of wipe this dash down. It's extremely disgusting. So I kind of want to just clean it up. I have wiped down the gauge cluster already, and it looks like brand new. I did wipe the steering wheel down a little bit, but get this dash part and all these knobs and everything wiped off. I might even do down here a little bit, but let's give it a little cleaning. Well, it doesn't look any worse. Definitely a little shinier, but you can tell the paint's faded though. It's just not as, it could probably use a good buffing, but that's impossible. But we're gonna repaint this out anyway eventually, so anyway, it was, I don't know, it's better. So I figured we should probably just fix all the radiator hoses since we want to do that. A couple weeks ago, I kind of stupidly started pouring antifreeze in here, and I put about 2 gallons in it. And then I realized, wow, these hoses look really bad and they look like they're leaking. I should probably replace them. So we need to drain the system now. Hopefully that won't be too difficult. There should be petcock right down there. So we'll just drain that and then get these hoses replaced. Alright, we got all those hoses off. This bottom part where this goes to the heater on the inside, this clamp was a wire clamp and it's completely disintegrated. There's no wires wrapped around that anymore. So probably a good thing. I'm sure that was leaking, so we will get that off of there. We really just need the heater bypass thing here, so get these hoses off here and then get the new ones on. Alright, so this is where we're currently at. I got all the coolant hoses hooked back up. The radiator is full of coolant now. I got the battery back in. I have a brand new fuel cap that I'm going to put on. I put maybe a gallon of gas in it. I didn't really have a whole lot in my gas can, but put that on there, close that up, And then I think we're gonna start it and try to see if the fuel pump is working. I do have a rebuild kit coming for the fuel pump, but it's gonna be a little while because it's coming from Indonesia. I'm gonna fill the bowl with gasoline, and then I think we're gonna give it a start and see what is working and what is not working and go from there. I'm gonna have to open up the garage door because I don't want to die. It's gonna get a little cold because it's pretty chilly outside, but we'll just have to make do with that. So let's start this thing up and see how it runs. And we can also test out the clutch and everything too and see if we can put it in gear and stuff. So we'll try that as well. So we're ready to go. I bought one of these things because they just look so handy and they were so cheap too. So now we should be able to fill up the bowl pretty easily. There it comes. There, you can see that. I like having that sight on there. It's a cool feature. I think that should last us until we can see if the fuel pump actually works. And then once we get it started, we're gonna come over here and watch this fuel filter to see if it fills up. All right, it's in neutral. Heard a click from the carburetor. I'm gonna give it a little gas here. There we go. Fuel pressure's coming up. No fuel yet. Oh, there it comes. It's staying full on the site too, so I think we're running off the fuel pump now. Awesome. That didn't go down at all, which is good. Let's put this cap on. We have the wheels spinning here. This drum's gonna fall off though, is the problem. I wonder, let's push the clutch in and see if that stops. Hey, look at that, it stopped. That's a good sign. We have really good oil pressure. It seems to be charging as well, which is good. Not sure if you can see that. Seems to be charging. Fuel, I didn't put enough fuel in there for this to actually probably work, so we don't know about that. Now we just gotta let it idle and see if we can get some temperature in the engine. We got a little bit of oil burning off the headers right there, but we do have the temperature starting to come up just a little bit here, so that's good. I kind of want to put it in gear and see if we can actually get this to spin with any purpose. I haven't actually tried to put it in gear yet, but without a seat here, it's kind of difficult. Let's try. That's first. Let's see what happens. Let's say that works. That should be second. Yeah, that drum's going off. That should be third. Yeah, that drum's falling off. But let's try reverse. Yeah. So all the gears are working, so that's good. I haven't tried four-wheel drive yet, but maybe we'll try that once it's actually on the ground. Temperature's coming right up though. Getting a lot of smoke in here. It's not coming out of the exhaust. It's coming off the manifold. See how smoky it is right here. It's just all burning off of the manifold down there. That'll be alright, that'll go away. Idle's pretty high on this, so I'm going to try to turn it down some. That's a lot better. I have no way to know the RPMs right now though. The temperature's come right up though. So that's nice. See, the temperature's sitting right below that first mark there, so I'm not sure. It's probably supposed to sit right in the middle, so we'll have to see. But everything seems to be running great. I think I still need to adjust the wheel cylinder some because the brakes still aren't engaging. Hopefully the smoke will stop soon though. It looks like it's almost burnt off all the way. See if we can get this idle even lower. Here's not. Oh, there we go. Seems to be running really good. I noticed when I was staying right here, I was getting sprayed with water. We have a leak coming out of the heater hose, and we have a leak coming out of this seal right here. So the two things that I did not actually fix. Let's see if we can tighten up this heater hose here and fix that one. Nope, that just makes it worse. I bet you that hose is honestly bad because the end of it was pretty messed up. I might just need to replace both of the heater hoses. And then this gasket here, I can just take this apart, put some new sealer on there, and then put it back together. I don't think that's a big deal. It'd be nice to check the thermostat too, but honestly, I think the thermostat's okay. So overall, that was a pretty good success. Have a couple more coolant things to fix, but other than that, honestly, it's probably good. We gotta fix the brakes a little bit more. We gotta tighten up those wheel cylinders. And then we really just need to put everything back together now. I think that's kind of the next step where we're at. All right, so I gotta catch you up a little bit. So the heater hose here, I took that back off and cut the end off and put it back on. So hopefully that one won't leak now, should be fine. This upper part here, where the thermostat goes, the thermostat housing. So these bolts were rusted and they're really good. Those are not supposed to be studs, those are supposed to be bolts, and they snapped off. I tried wrenching on those to get them off and they do not want to come off. They are seized in there really good. So what I did, what I'm currently doing, I have the housing from the other FJ and I was able to get these bolts out just fine. Here they are. You can see these ones are also pretty corroded, but not as bad, and it was easier being out of here too, and there wasn't any coolant sitting in the housing here, so I was able to heat up where the threads go really well, and I was able to crack them loose that way. So I'm not sure. There's like little fuzzies inside of this thermostat, so that's probably not great. I have a rubber gasket for that, so should be good there. That's hot. So we gotta get this out of here, and then we also need to get the housing off of here, which hopefully these two bolts will come out. So I'm gonna clean up all of this and all of this, and then I don't have a new thermostat, but it seems as though this one was working fine when it was running, so I'm gonna use this one. I was able to get the housing off of the head there, but the bolts were pretty corroded and all the threads were full of like old coolant and stuff, so I was pretty happy to be able to get those off of there. Now I'm just chasing the threads so I can use these bolts again, and then I'm probably gonna put some anti-seize on them too, because yeah, just seems to be a very corrosive area right there. So we just have some gasket maker here. Really don't need a whole lot. It's probably enough. I don't even need to go on the outside of that, so probably enough. I might try to smear it around a little bit with my finger here. Yeah, that should be plenty good. So let's get this put on there. All right, that's back on. So now all we need to do is get these hoses back on here. We should be good to go. I think we can fill it back up with antifreeze again. All right, well, I think that's gonna be it for this video. This video is getting a little longer, so I'm just gonna end it right here. The next video about this, hopefully we'll be getting all this front end back together and maybe taking it for a drive. We'll have to see. But thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.